I want to tell you about my weird Friday afternoon last week of watching Magic Mike's Last Dance by myself in a cinema. It was an impromptu Salma Hayek back to back following the polar opposite movie that I saw beforehand in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which I just spoke about. I haven't actually seen any Magic Mike's movies beforehand, and I don't say this out of bullshit, toxic male pride or anything like that. Each their own. If you enjoy this, that's perfectly fine. They just held no real appeal to me, and I must have either been single at the time whenever they were released, or I never got dragged to them. So they just passed me by, and I was fine with that, but also fine with whoever liked them, liked them. But part of the gig of me having a movie review show is seeing the movies that everyone's going to be talking about. So there I was, cringing to death in the cinema on my own and laughing as Channing Tatum and Salma Hayek romped around the room in one of the early scenes of the movie. And I kind of leaned on my go-to defense mechanism of just like making jokes to myself as Hayek started dancing back with her own moves while getting a lap dance from Tatum. And I just kind of started thinking of Conan O'Brien and The Simpsons, where if Tatum just turned around like, no, only I may dance. So that's what was going on. I was cringing throughout. And you know what? Fortunately, the movie decided to let me out of my misery, and it just wasn't extremely explicit sexual scenes while I was watching it by myself. Presumably, like, again, the staff weren't thinking about me, but I was thinking, I hope the staff don't think I'm weird or creepy in here. The story follows Mike, again, obviously, of the title character, played by Tatum, who swears that he's quitting dancing. Since I don't know the backstory that led to that decision, I can only assume it's because in the previous movie, Magic Mike XXL, his entire family died in an unfortunate stripping accident that I imagine had something to do with slipping on baby oil or something like that. I haven't seen it, so I can't guess, but like, I assume that was kind of the vibe as you go in. Not really. Anyway, look, he doesn't dance anymore. He's bartending at a party, and an old client recognizes him, tips Hayek off about his sexy past, and Hayek's millionaire character offers him big money for one last dance, and that ends as predictably as you can imagine. My first impression of the Magic Mike movies, or at least this one in particular, is that this is porn for people who pretend that they don't like porn. And Hayek's character arc replicates this identity crisis, to be honest, as she tries to recruit Mike then to direct a high-end London stage play because she's convinced herself that he's got a vision, and somehow this becomes it's an art movie, and it's something that it really isn't. This should be a movie about a stripper and like how people fancy them and stuff like that. It should be very lightweight fare, but somehow we end up in an absolutely farcical attempt at a plot filled with faux intellectualism as they try to convince us that all of this is mad high art, and it's told with a silly narration via a teenage character in it who's writing a novel about the proceedings of a movie. And it's literally just like, you know, what the novel should be was put his lad on the table, there was a loud clatter, and that should be what it is. But again, they try and make this into something way above what it actually offers. The stakes and the motivations of everyone involved are never even clear, which makes the dramatic turns and the swings they take just pointless and laughable. They attempt at points to pretend this is about really high-minded topics, like terms like repressed misogyny, imbalanced power structure, systemic economic equality, or female empowerment. They're just thrown around as if the movie is going to get around to addressing them, but it never does. It's just trying to make you think, look, it's not porn. It's not porn. You're very smart and you're very intellectual for going to this movie. That's what it seems to be telling itself. It's like, why are you hiding from this? Just be who you want to be. And like, for a movie, especially, what surprised me here is that this is the movie that's completing a trilogy and has been quite successful. And that just came off to me as really insecure. This movie exists because Channing Tatum and Salma Hayek are really hot, and people go see it to get a few cheap thrills and give themselves some new material so they can pretend this is what's happening when they close their eyes with their partners during sex. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with any of that if that's what you want. I'm baffled why this movie had to try dress itself up as something that it wasn't. Instead, when you get glimpses of what the movie really is, and it just embraces that, like one scene where there's a bit of a mini flash mob on a bus, it's really fun and entertaining. Why not just make this the whole movie? Of course, it all ends in one big show, and guess what? That's entertaining. That's good because the movie is doing what it's supposed to do. Channing Tatum clearly worked his arse off for this, and that's impressive. Why were they holding back all this time? I can only imagine that it's because this is the third movie and they've just run out of story ideas for how to get Channing Tatum and a bunch of rip lads near naked and joyriding on the stage. But here's an idea. Just do that. Literally just do it. Just don't even like go with a plot. Nobody gives a shit about your plots. Go call it Channing Tatum is ripped and he's going to get near naked on stage with a bunch of other hot lads. And people will just go see it anyway. If it's on the big screen, they'll just go see it. You don't even need to call it a movie. That's what people are there for. Stop telling yourselves that this is a movie or we care about your characters or their arcs or storylines or that it's intellectual somehow. You'll still make loads of money. The people who go will be happy, and I can go see something else and I'll have to sit there and vacillate between awkward, bored, and confused. Magic Mike The Last Dance, thank God for that.